Hey guys, it's Bobby, and today we're going to be doing a full review of the Li-ning Feidan Challenger 5. This is my favorite shoe in my current rotation and probably one of my most favorite shoes of all time. It's definitely the most versatile, and I think it's really relevant even though the new Feidan Challenger 6 has come out, because right now you can get this. I've seen it for as low as $85 on AliExpress. It's usually for at least $90 to $100, which I think is still a great steal compared to a lot of the speed trainers that you can get from the Western market, and even those you can get from the Asian market, especially with the performance you get from this shoe. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into the review, starting with the upper. Here in the upper, we're getting an upper that they call their boom fiber. It's really thin, it's breathable, it's comfortable, and what I especially like about this upper is that it really locks down your feet. This shoe is a bit more on the narrow side, but I tend to like my shoes more on the narrow side so that they really hug my feet when I'm running. The laces are more of your run-of-the-mill laces, nothing special, but they do the job. Here in the heel, you get some light padding and some pretty nice structure, so it's not super flappy, which I like for a shoe that I will use for my daily training. Overall, I think this upper is durable. It's light enough for your fast sessions, and it's breathable enough for summer runs. I think this is definitely one of the better uppers that I felt on a daily training shoe and a speed training shoe. I've had no issues with the fit or with it feeling uncomfortable or irritating my feet. The fit here is also true to size, so I would recommend going true to size for these. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the midsole where all the fun is happening. Here in the midsole, we have a dual layer foam setup with the top layer being a regular PEBA they call their Super Boom foam, and it's on the softer side. Then at the bottom, we have a foam they call their Boom foam, which is beaded PEBA. It's on the firmer side. Then running through the middle, we have a carbon plate. For the stack height measurements, I can't find the exact stack height, but I would estimate that we have around 35 to 38 in the heel, and then we have a 6 to 8 millimeter drop. So that would be around 29 to 32 millimeters in the forefoot. This foam honestly reminds me a lot of the Endorphin Speed 3. Not so much the newer Endorphin Speeds, since those are a bit firmer, but more like the Endorphin Speed 3, which was really balanced, where when you're going slower, you get a bit of a more soft, forgiving feel, but when you're picking up the pace, the foam does tend to firm up and feel pretty responsive. I do feel like this shoe is more exciting than the Endorphin Speed 3, and you do get a bit of a bounce in it. I really like how you really do feel that energy return from the shoe compared to a lot of speed trainers, which I feel like tend to feel dull nowadays. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the ride. For the ride, again, you get a really balanced feel from the shoe where when you're going slower, you do feel a bit of sink in, it feels forgiving, and it feels really nice, even when I've used it on easy days. But when you're going faster, you feel like you do get a really energetic and responsive ride. I've taken it out for marathon pace, and at marathon pace, I feel like I get more of that slight bouncy feeling from the midsole, especially in the midfoot. And then when I'm going hitting intervals, just 400 or 800-meter intervals, I feel like the shoe becomes really resilient and responsive. It firms up and it feels really nice and snappy, especially with that carbon plate, which is pretty stiff. I think the ride is really nice, and I also really like this geometry, which gives it a really smooth feeling. It's not super aggressive, so you don't feel like it's forcing you to go faster when you want to go those easier paces, but it's still aggressive enough where when you're going those faster paces, it still feels really nice. Moving on to the outsole here, we get a pretty thick layer of outsole, and you also get some really nice coverage. Here, if you take a look, you can see that it has nearly no wear. I have only been used it for around 40 miles, so I mean, if you guys are like, I can definitely give you an update at the 100-mile mark. But so far, I'd say I predict this shoe to last well into 400 miles, which is when I usually retire shoes. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into some comparisons. The first shoe I want to compare it to is the Nike Zoom Fly 6. I think the Zoom Fly 6 feels definitely a good bit softer than the Feidan Challenger 5. However, I've always felt that this midsole feels a bit dull to me despite having that Zoom X layer. It feels more comfortable for those easy paces, and I've been mostly using this for daily training runs, like easy runs. Not much faster runs like intervals, reps, or even marathon pace. I just feel like I don't get enough back from this shoe. It's also a good bit heavier than the Challenger 5, which is pretty light and comparable to a race shoe. The upper on the Zoom Fly 6 is comfortable as well, but I do feel that the Fade Challenger 5 locks me in a bit better. Overall, I would say, especially for the price, the Challenger 5 is a much better shoe than this. Even for easy runs, I think the Challenger 5 can compete since you feel like it's a much more exciting shoe than this one, and it still has that slightly softer feeling at easy paces, which is still comfortable and forgiving. Another shoe I wanted to compare the Phantom Challenger 5 to is the Boston 13, which I think is another great speed trainer. This shoe has a bit of the problem that the Zoom Fly 6 has, where I do feel that the foam doesn't give you a whole amount back, but I do feel like it's better for going those faster paces than the Zoom Fly 6. I do feel like the Boston 13 though tends to top out at around marathon pace. It's more responsive than the Zoom Fly 6, but I don't feel that it's as responsive as the Phantom 5 Challenger. And I also like that bit of that bit of bounce that you get from the Phantom 5 Challenger, which you definitely don't get from this shoe. I do really like that rocker on the Boston 13, which feels really smooth with my stride and my transitions, but I wouldn't say it's significantly better than the Phantom 5 Challenger. And if you see the Phantom 5 Challenger, it actually has a pretty similar rocker to the Boston 13. Overall, I'd say I prefer the Freedom 5 Challenger for pretty much any paces, especially because it's just more of an exciting shoe to me. But also, I do feel that has just a greater range in terms of it can go easy, it can go marathon pace, and it can go up to those 400-meter repeats, 800-meter repeats. The Boston 13 is also a good bit firmer, especially in the heel. It's more unforgiving, and I can feel like the Boston 13 can feel a bit harsh at times. Whereas the Freedom 5 Challenger, I never get that feeling. So that pretty much wraps the review for the Freedom 5 Challenger. Right now you can get it again on AliExpress for around $90 to $100. Usually there's coupons on there, so you can get it even cheaper than that. I think this shoe is really fun, versatile, and to be honest, if I had one shoe that I would use for all of my training, it would most definitely be the Freedom 5 Challenger. I suggest you guys go give it a try, and if you like it, go ahead and make sure you tell me in the comments. See you guys in the next review. If there's any shoe you want to see next, just let me know.